The following is a presentation of TFNN. Live at TFNN, the Power Trading Hour, with your host, David White. Now, the author of The Path of Least Resistance and the Tech Insider, David White.
And it is a gorgeous Monday. It is April 9th. TH, I guess. And it is Winston Churchill Day. Another wonderful day. And kind of always like Winston Churchill. There are a couple things that always I think about when you think about him. One is his famous battles with Lady Astor. The first time, or I guess one of the times he was talking to her at a party, Lady Astor and him didn't get along very well. And Lady Astor went up to him and said, "Sir Winston, if you were my husband, I'd poison your coffee." To which he responded, "Madam, if you were my wife, I'd drink it." And later, and depends on how apocryphal you want, and the same night, she came over and said, "Winston, you're drunk." And of course he said, Lady Astor, "You're ugly. The difference is in the morning, I'll be sober and you'll still be ugly." So I always liked him. He had kind of a little bit of fire in his belly out there. Probably the thing that sticks with me the longest was he was asked to do a commencement speech and at a college in the United States, and I can't remember which one it was. But everybody was all ready to hear this big long commencement speech. He was a fine orator, not like me, but he was a great orator, and he basically got up, and this was his commitment. I can't even say it. Commitment speech. Never, 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 never give up. And with that, he went back and sat down, and that was it. And everybody, well, I guess, was probably glad to get to their parties after the commencement speech. But basically, in a nutshell, he had that kind of never say die attitude, and according to the young Skulls Full of Mush, he was sending out into the world. That was probably one of the best things he could ever do. If you ever get to St. Louis, just outside of St. Louis, southwest, maybe about 30, 45 minutes, is a little college that he went to and gave a big commencement, several speeches, actually, that he's famous for. Just outside, I think it's Westfall or Fulton, Missouri, somewhere out there. But I stopped and went to the little museum they had about Winston Churchill. But if you're ever going cross country, you can probably avoid that giant ball of twine and maybe stop in there if you're going across I-70, cutting across God's country, as I like to call it. On my radar, earnings start this week. Not many, just Alcoa pretty much this week. AA after the bell tomorrow night. A lot of IPOs on Thursday. I don't think we're going to probably have a lot of downside action because of that. We'll get into it. Facebook, about, an hour and a half ago, bought Instagram with a $1 billion price tag. I guess they like them. And if you're not familiar with Instagram, I talked a little bit about it last week, where they had finally got a Android version out on the market last week, and it's kind of a photo sharing thing, but you can make it look like it's on Polaroids and other things like that. It's kind of a fancy way to put together a gallery of wonderful pictures that you like to bore all your friends with. And I don't know, there's just not that much I need to see, I think. But it's kind of interesting. Last week, Electronic Arts had a kind of a bad week. And normally you find either Bank of America or AT&T fighting for the most hated company in America. Electronic Arts won this year, and probably just guys at both Bank of America and AT&T probably giving a little sigh of release that they weren't the worst, but just the second and third. Electronic Arts has been around for a long time. I knew the original CEO of the company. His name was Trip Hawkins, and a lot of marketing and the way marketing is done today is from Trip Hawkins. I think he got out of there in the mid or early 90s. He did about 10 or 15 years. But a lot of way game titles were sold, cartridges, a lot of everything. He basically put it mostly together, and a lot of people that worked under him in his marketing arm went into a lot of different companies. In fact, I was just talking to my engineer Al about one of the companies, and one of the gentlemen went there, but they were that kind of go-go 80s kind of guy that everybody loved to hate, but they certainly did have a lot of energy. But they were kind of the beginnings of what later became the Apple way. In fact, they took a lot of things from people at Electronic Arts at Apple and really took the ball and even ran a lot further than Trip Hawkins did. But Electronic Arts, nickel and diming people, that's the complaint. But I don't think you want to be a game company and hated by your customers. Of course, you probably don't want to be hated by your customers at all for any business, but you know, people have a ability to go buy whatever they want. And I think just bugging them probably shows a sign of weakness long term in the company. We had kind of a big pop down here today. The old Baby Ruth was dropped in the market punch bowl on Friday with bad earnings for jobs. We're off 12 points on the S&P. Not a big deal, especially when you put that back into what the volume looks like. And I'm going to just update it here just to make sure that we have the absolute latest. But we've got like 2.4 billion shares in the consolidated New York Stock Exchange. I suspect that we're going to break out of this trading range one day, but it's going to be 5.5 or 6 billion shares. Maybe even 4.5 billion shares would maybe be something that we can't even crank out by 3 o'clock on a Monday. 2.4 billion shares tells me there just isn't a lot of energy up and there isn't a lot of energy down. But what we're seeing here is actually a lot of energy, or let me put it this way, moderately more energy up than we're seeing a moderately more energy down. In the daily newsletter, I've had two stocks that popped rather significantly, one on Friday, one last week. It's kind of pulled back a little bit, but I'm kind of looking at this as more of a long-term trade, maybe 2 weeks or something. But both of these doing fine. You know, but we had a nice 10% pop even on Thursday on one of our stocks. But what I'm kind of seeing is a theme, and that is a lot of these big cap stocks rolling over and a lot of the small cap stocks really coming into view and making tests of the lows on extremely light volume. I know Kate is in this hour tomorrow, and I'm going to have to really listen to her tomorrow and find out if she's got any particular opinion on this. But it is very interesting to see a lot of these big caps roll over and pull back, and we're going to get into those, a few of them today, because it's probably time to revisit confluence levels, because a lot of these bigger companies look like they could pull back to some confluence level. Why we probably see the next chapter in this market run, and that's normally you don't see a top of the market until the small caps run. And we're seeing a lot of these things time out and finding some nice little bottoms out here. So I'm not getting too really excited about, let's see here, about, let me check on just a couple of things here. I'm not going to get really excited about a lot of these positions really blowing up until we see some kind of weakness in these small caps at these lows. But a lot of stocks lining up very nice. And also a little bit earlier this morning, AOL sold their patents and a kidney and a lung to Microsoft for $1 billion. This is the same company that wasted and sold about $300 million on the Huffington Post, $350 million on the Huffington Post, that has now had to come back within 6 or 9 months, whatever it was, maybe a year, come back and actually sell all their patents to someone else to go on life support. These guys weren't very smart when they spent money that they didn't have. They continue to have no vision. And probably the only decent thing they now have is $1 billion. If they were smart, they'd shut their doors today, and that would be the end of it. Try to sell their customers off to somebody else and get out of there. But they won't. They'll take that $1 billion and whittle it away on extremely high compensation for a mediocre CEO. Of course, if you were a great CEO, would you want to try to take over AOL? I doubt it. This thing has been doomed since the AOL-Time Warner merger. And this goes to show you that one decision that's critically bad is sometimes going to kill you no matter what. And I think that what we see now is pretty much that. American Online, Huffington Post, marriage made in hell. And, of course, just eventually, going to blow up and go away one day. Just very hard to see how any of this ever makes any sense. Microsoft, though, has $1 billion worth of patents that they can go out and pester all kinds of other people with. And, of course, it's horrible for the country. It's horrible for the companies that are involved in this. And this goes to show you that they'd rather buy $1 billion of patents than spend it on $1 billion worth of lawyers, which is not tough. On our IPO calendar this week, on the 12th of the Thursday, we've got 4 companies going public this week: Forum Energy Technologies, MRC Global, BrightSource Energy, and Alexis Corp. Almost all of them, I believe, are energy-related companies. Kind of interesting to see at least the price of crude pulling back. At one point, crude was down fairly significant, 102.46 cents now, just off 85 cents. Pretty much down again. I didn't look at the contracts, but didn't look like a lot of juice was in that. We'll look at a couple of the EFTs later on that. So remember, IPOs Thursday, probably at least going to be a flat day, if not up. Windows Vista actually has now end of life day in 12/17, so you've got about 4 more years to use it. What is really going to be interesting is that on April 10th, which is tomorrow, Windows Vista will exit the mainstream support, enter what is known as its extended support. You will have to pay additional money to get Vista maintained. Probably certainly not worth it. Really an effort to push people into buying Windows 7 or Windows 8 coming out this fall. It's just, it's just what it is. Vista had a lot of bugs in it. They'll never be fixed. Time to move on if you have a Windows Vista machine and buy a Windows 7 machine. We'll be back in just a minute.
Here's what people are saying about Tiger TV.
Let's go to John in Tampa. Hey, John, what's going on?
Hi, Tom. How are you, sir?
I'm doing great. You having a good day out there?
A wonderful day. I love your Tiger TV. I watch it every day. I'm like a kid in a candy store.
Oh, man, I appreciate you out there watching it. How long have you been watching the Tiger TV?
I'm watching almost a month now, and it's wonderful.
It's pretty cool, isn't it?
Oh, yes, it's cool. You see the charts and everything. Thanks so much for the hard work.
Tiger TV, a great news service from TFNN.com. TFNN is proud to bring you the cutting edge of investment newsletters. Ken Shreve's Ultimate Growth Stocks. Ken is a top-down investor who lets price and volume in the major stock indices tell him when to be in the market and when to be out. By using his unique blend of fundamental and technical analysis, Ken will protect your hard-earned capital while realizing breakout gains. Go to TFNN.com today, click Investment Newsletters, and get Ken Shreve's Ultimate Growth Stocks free for 2 weeks.
You take a hands-on approach to managing your investment strategy. You're always looking for the next trading opportunity to magnify your perspective and maximize your returns. Direxion Shares connects sophisticated traders with a powerful array of ETFs from a wide range of asset classes. The markets may go up and down, and you want tools for both sides of the trade. Discover how we can help at DirectionShares.com today. An investor should consider the investment objectives, risks, charges, and expenses of the Direxion Shares carefully before investing. The prospectus and summary prospectus contain this and other information about Direxion Shares. To obtain a prospectus or summary prospectus, please contact Direxion Shares at 800-851-0511. The prospectus or summary prospectus should be read carefully before investing. An investment in the funds is subject to risk, including the possible loss of principal. The funds are designed to be utilized only by sophisticated investors such as traders and active investors employing dynamic strategies. Investors in the fund should understand the consequences of seeking daily investment results, understand the risk of shorting, and intend to actively monitor and manage their investments. Distributor, Foreside Fund Services, LLC.
Hi, I'm Steve Rhodes, co-host of The Money Masters with Tom O'Brien, seen daily at TFNN.com, author of Mastering Probabilities, a daily investment and trading newsletter, and teacher of the money game. Studies show that 3 out of 5 people are afraid for their life in trading these markets, and the number one reason given is fear of loss. Look, fear stands for false evidence appearing real, and the money game proves it. Lesson number 1, don't risk more than 1% of your trading capital on any trade. Why, you ask? Because 35 trades in a row where you risk 50 cents and make $1 are all you need to double your trading capital, versus the 230 losing trades in a row you would need to bring your balance to $100. Let me teach you more about the money game risk-free for 30 days. Go to the homepage of TFNN.com and click on my name, Steve Rhodes, for your 30-day risk-free trial. You were born to be a money master, and I'll teach you how.
David White's newsletter, The Technology Insider, is focused like a laser on finding the next big things in technology. If you had invested only $10,000 in Microsoft in 1986, you'd have been a millionaire by 2000. Disruptive technology like Microsoft's is the key to these massive long-term profits, and the Tech Insider is the vehicle from TFNN to capitalize on these opportunities. This is the go-to newsletter that identifies, monitors, and profits on mostly little-known cutting-edge companies with great long-term prospects. David's experience is as an inventor of Emmy-winning animation products for TV and Hollywood that propelled a company public. Match that with 14 years as a full-time trader, and he's uniquely qualified to guide you through the light-speed world of ever-evolving high-tech. If you're ready to ride the next big technology bull market for less than $40 per month, log on to TFNN.com and get your 2-week free trial to the Technology Insider. Get in on the ground floor of the next big thing today.
This segment is brought to you by Goldfields. For more information, just click the Goldfields banner on the front page of TFNN.com.
Hey, as we come back, we're going to get into a little bit more news out here. I was just checking the volume and don't have a lot here to actually make anybody think that much is going on here. So we'll go back. But anyway, Vista, you're going to have to start paying additional support if you want to continue to use it. It's going to be, like Windows Internet 10. Other things like that will not be supported on Windows Vista. So they're really going into overdrive now to get rid of Windows XP and Vista. Just be well aware of that. But this is part of the push into Windows 8 come October. There is a lot of news surrounding liquid metal grid batteries. And what are these? These are batteries that are using a molten metal. In the case of most of these batteries, it is something like an anode with molten salt or some other molten metal in between 2 layers of liquid metal. But most of them are trying to use liquid salt at a high temperature. Some are using magnesium for their anodes or cathodes. But what's very interesting is last week Ted had a big discussion. If you go to TED.com, you can pick up a couple of those conversations or speeches. One is from our wonderful friend in Texas who was pushing wind power a couple of years ago. Now he's pushing natural gas. And it is one of those things where people are really pushing these. What's the difference with these batteries? These batteries are made to be extremely large. They're trying to set up a scale where they will come in a tractor trailer. You'll back them in to a power facility, and instead of just generating enough power and some of it going to waste, you'll be able to put these batteries around big power generation stations, and any extra that's normally just lost to the grid can be saved in these batteries. But normally, when you think of a battery, you think you don't want to get the battery very hot. The kind of technology in a lot of these is that they're actually changing to where they are using batteries that are in the 700 degree temperature point, and once they are started to be used, once you get them up to temperature, just absolutely using them keeps them at that temperature. Basically, everything you thought that was wrong in a battery, people have tried this, and on a very, very large scale, it makes a lot of sense. It doesn't matter how much the batteries weigh. The most important thing is how much can you charge for a very low cost. Size is not a general issue. Probably not a big deal, but what we found out is that there's a couple of companies that are really getting into this. And they've found some very deep pockets in the form of Bill Gates, who's actually put in about $10 million, I think, on this battery startup, which is, maybe it's in my next grid, or maybe I forgot to put it in here. Oleat, California Lithium Battery. CLB is the way they go, but California Lithium Battery. But there's several other ones. This is an offshoot from MIT. And they're also kind of pushing a battery that will allow the lithium batteries to last about 3 times longer than they have. If anybody's bought a lithium-ion battery for their laptop or their cell phone, they say that they have a commercially ready, and that means that they'll be able to ship it within 2 years, a new commercially producible graphite and graphene-based anode that will triple their life. So normally these batteries will last about 3 years. So they're saying that you could get 50% duty cycle on these things to about 9 years. So that'd be nice, especially if you're buying a car with one. Right now, if you buy a Volt, it will pay for itself in only 27 years of reduced expenses at today's electrical and gas prices. Pretty horrible payback, actually. So the biggest problem is replacing $12,000 worth of batteries every 3.5 years. If you could actually go to 7 years on it, you might be able to repay it in 12 years. But we still have a long ways to go in battery technology to make a lot of these things actually useful. Over the weekend, Titanic came out. We talked a little bit about my work with companies that actually worked on the film, me spending a little bit of time on the QE2 when the movie was being made. But we'll get back to this in just a minute. But James Cameron has spent $18 million to develop new technology to make acceptable. I mean, that means kind of like they shot it in 3D to begin with. So maybe there's a chance for 3D movies to actually gain some content ground. We'll talk about that when we come back. You can give me a call at 877-927-6648.
In just December of last year, the price of gold was down over 10%. In today's highly volatile gold market, you need someone in your corner that understands the complex relationships that exist within the price of gold, as well as within a variety of gold equities. Whether it's the South African gold miners and knowing how the Rand-dollar relationship will affect their bottom line, or understanding how John Paulson's $5 billion trade in the GLD can move the market, Tom O'Brien gives you the direction you need to become a better trader each week in his newsletter, The Gold Report. With over 20 individual equities covered and almost another 20 on the potential watch list each week, in addition to covering the XAU, HUI, GLD, and dollar, The Gold Report is a great source for any trader that is looking to be diversified in today's volatile gold market. For your 30-day free trial to Tom O'Brien's Gold Report, log on to TFNN.com today. Don't miss out on this great offer. Act now. You've heard Tom O'Brien on the air, and you've always thought about trying out his newsletter, Market Insights. Well, now is the perfect time. For a limited time only, when you sign up for a 2-week free trial to Market Insights, we'll send you a free copy of Tom O'Brien's best-selling book, The Art of Timing the Trade, Your Ultimate Trading Mastery System. If you decide to cancel within the 2-week trial period, pay absolutely nothing and keep Tom's book as a free gift from us. Tom sends out his daily newsletter each morning by 9:30 a.m. with trade recommendations, including price targets and price stops. As recently as March 21st, Market Insights subscribers closed out a position for more than a 25% profit in just over 2 weeks. To get your 2-week free trial to Market Insights, along with your free copy of The Art of Timing the Trade, Your Ultimate Trading Mastery System, visit the front page of TFNN.com. Supplies are limited for this one-of-a-kind special, so act today and don't let this opportunity pass you by. Offer only valid for new subscribers.
What type of investor are you? Conservative, moderate, or aggressive? No matter your investor personality, your overall portfolio should reflect your financial goals, time horizon, and your risk tolerance. Help ensure your portfolio is appropriately invested with an asset allocation plan from Morgan Stanley Smith Barney. Simply picking the right stocks is not enough. Research has shown that choosing the right proportion of stocks, bonds, and cash is essential to the success of your long-term investments. Morgan Stanley Smith Barney believes that a carefully selected portfolio can lower volatility and increase investment return potential. Find out about what asset allocation and the Morgan Stanley Smith Barney financial advisor can do for you. Call Angela O'Brien, First Vice President and Certified Financial Planner of the Clearwater, Florida branch at 727-441-6108 today to discuss your personal financial needs. Asset allocation does not assure a profit or protect against loss in declining financial markets. Investments and services are offered through Morgan Stanley Smith Barney, LLC. Member SIPC.
Are you looking for a precision edge in the market? Something that can stack the odds in your favor? Then look into Larry Pesavento's new trading newsletter, Patterns, Profits, and Peace of Mind. In each weekly issue, Larry explains what's going to happen in the markets based on the pattern he sees developing and gives you actionable trade ideas based on those patterns. Plus, you'll get his detailed analysis on a variety of markets and sectors, including stocks, treasury bonds, the gold market, oil, the dollar, the forex market, and more. And you'll get the Technical Corner segment, which is a short but powerful weekly training session on trading. You'll get access to all the patterns Larry is seeing in the markets, plus the Astro Harmonics and powerful Bradley stock market model that Larry utilizes for less than $5 a day. An extremely potent combination that will give you just the edge you've been looking for. Try Patterns, Profits, and Peace of Mind absolutely free for 2 weeks. Go to TFNN.com and click on the free trial link at the top of the page. That's an $85 value, yours free when you register right now. Get Larry's Patterns, Profits, and Peace of Mind and get the edge you've been looking for.
This segment is brought to you by Direxion Shares. To learn more about tactical tools for the sophisticated active investor, hit the Direxion Shares banner on the front page of TFNN.com.
And as we come back, I was talking just a little bit about Titanic and 3D movies. And my experiences on it. One of the things that's interesting that I think after this release is that there's a lot of money been spent by Sony and some of the other big Japanese and Korean manufacturers for television. The problem has been getting enough material in 3D. And what James Cameron's basically spent 2 years and $18 million to develop is a technology to make acceptable 3D movies from 2D content. It took him about 2 years to convert Titanic into 3D. He thinks that you can probably bring that down to about $5 or $6 million. There's about 100,000 frames or pictures that make up a movie for a standard 2-hour movie. I think there were 120,000 on Titanic. Each one of them you have to bring in the individual cell and draw lines around and kind of lasso around all the different objects in it. And then a director gets the opportunity to actually try to change what the dimension or the parallax is going to be for the 3D. When you do this, and make an original 3D movie, you basically put two cameras that are about a little bit wider than human eyes apart, and that will do it pretty much naturally. You can add effects by changing that, especially if you're going to have a kind of something out to the horizon. Well, say you're looking at a ship or a castle or something very far away. You want to give it some distance. You might move those a little bit farther away to get the effect you want as a director or as a photographer. But I'm just thinking about IMAX. Things kind of been going sideways for a long time. It really hasn't had, lived up to its actual promise with doing that, and it could be interesting. But this is the kind of stuff that people might be willing to spend in, in maybe like Jaws or something like that, to redo some of these older movies in 3D to actually get 3D moving. But I think it's going to take something like that. But there are several people that are thinking this may be a little cheaper than actually originally doing the movie in 3D. So he may make a few more bucks off this deal. I think that coming out in this movie was to prove the technology and make his money back so he can continue to sell this to other people. In fact, a lot of the technology that now comes out of the movies is resold to other movies. And, directors like this that come up with that technology can continue to make their money. But I don't know, if you see a lot of this actually coming out now that he's been able to prove it can be done and it's at least acceptable, you might look at IMAX again here, maybe in the early May, ready for the summer blockbuster season. Intel launches Z77 motherboards, and their Ivy Bridge chips are coming fairly quickly. We talked a little bit about their 24-nanometer technology, how much faster and less power these things are going to consume. They also are not your daddy's Oldsmobile. They are the Viper, the Corvette with the 600-pound or 600 horsepower motor in them. These things are really going to fly with offering 16 lanes of PCI Express, either 2 or 3, connectivity on the die. They're featuring integrated dual-channel DDR3 memory controllers, literally everything in their dog on these new boards. And, of course, the boards need to come out just a little bit earlier than the Ivy Bridge technology chips. But this is the third revision of the what they call iCore technology, and it's really going to be pretty fast stuff out there. So look for that really, and I guess Intel wants to get this out ahead of the big upgrade cycle coming in the fall with Microsoft. But they really, truly do have, on the medium to high end, the only solutions out there. It really looks like AMD had a good opportunity but failed when they couldn't actually make the 24-nanometer technology or even successfully 28-nanometer technology using fabs that were not their own. Intel still looks like the best of breed out there, even though they are letting a lot of that low-end business slip away to tablets and cell phones. And that's it. We're going to get into some other ones. If you do want to give me a call, I suggest you do it right now. We've got a good 20 minutes left in the show. You can give me a ring at 877-927-6648. Like I talked about in the first segment, I suspect we're going to have a nice run in these small caps as we haven't had any kind of volume in these big caps as they've pulled back today. Just checking the volume, we're not even 2.45 billion shares right now. Let me just make sure that that is true. I mean, that is 2.6 billion shares. So volume is starting to pick up with 20 minutes left to go. I'd be looking at a lot of these stocks that have a high short interest level in them, and maybe get a nice little bounce out of them here in the next few days, probably into IPO day on Thursday. Again, the only big company coming out is with earnings is Alcoa tomorrow night after the bell. Really start looking for them to start rolling out next week, and then the week after that is really the big one for earnings. So next 3-4 weeks here, going to be a lot of earnings announcements and calls for the first quarter of this year. And it just doesn't look. I'm going to just check out a couple of stocks real quick. As long as they're doing fine, I'm doing fine. Yeah, Cool. I wanted to show a few stocks, and the first one, now that we've had a little bit of a pullback, we're actually starting to see some of these line up, and that's confluence levels. We really haven't talked about confluence levels in a while, because on a market that's trending up, this doesn't matter a whole lot. But certainly are starting to set up some. And for those that are new to my show, we do have Timing the Trade charts. Going to be having Art of the Charts out soon. But a lot of people, when they look at confluence levels, really don't know what I'm talking about when we're looking for good ones. And I wanted to show it off in IBM just because it is so easy to see in IBM. And that is, when you have a confluence level, those are two Fibonacci retrace levels that come very close. The 618 of one and the 381 of another. And if you look, you can see the bottom tick here is the 381, and the top tick is the 618 of another trend out here. And what you really want to look for is exactly what we have here on IBM, and that is very, very ultra-thin levels of difference between those 1 and 2. The closer those are, and the longer time frame those are set up in, are the best. Now, that's about it's about 190 and a half, something like that. But there's only about 20 or 30 cents in a $190 stock. If you look at this bigger one that's I've got my arrow pointed over right now, you can see that it's probably $2-3, or in this case maybe $10. Those aren't very good confluence levels, and depending on how you set them up, not very good. This one just happened to be interesting because if that 190 area breaks, you have yet another really good one setting up at about the 175 level on IBM. So probably risk reward and buying a lot of these big caps up here at the top. Probably not exactly what you're looking for, but certainly if you think you would like to buy them again, very interesting to see these. Now, normally when you see these confluence levels, first thing you want to do is go toward the left-hand side of the chart and see just what's there. In this case, she had about 15 days of going sideways before it broke up and out. Actually, maybe more than 25 days for IBM, busting right around just under 193 or so. That you have that confluence level right below there probably makes a good setup if you wanted to come back and try to snag this thing or thought about buying it. I don't think it's got a lot of risk and reward here. Even if it did have 210, there's probably better fish in the sea. But if you're going to start tracking these and see how confluence levels work, very interesting. I think another one I had was Cree that was setting up these very tight confluence levels. And maybe it wasn't. Maybe it was a shorter time frame. Yeah, this was it. Cree also has one. This is not going to look quite as narrow, but it's a lower price stock. What I did want to say is that as soon as you see this area over here, which is a confluence level over on the right, about about $28 to $29. Even if it's a little wide like that, go ahead and start looking to the left-hand side of the chart. You have two nice gaps there, and actually Cree's actually falling right into those. You've got a gap up on, what is that? About 4.4 million shares on the 15th of March out here. You've gone back into that gap here. And you've got that level of support and confluence. And not surprisingly, that gap up of 4.5 million shares or 4.4 million shares, going to get about half that today on April 9th. Not saying to go back and buy this, but it is a lot of good, well, let me put it this way. There are enough stocks that have pulled back significantly that we're going to start seeing these confluence levels actually start showing some levels that you want to be watching at. And I just happened to run across about 10 of them over this weekend that had real nice sharp ones like IBM. And going to probably be interesting here as we go ahead. in the days ahead anyway. Some of the other stocks I wanted to look at had made or tried to make highs on lighter volume. One of them that didn't, which is kind of like the dog that didn't bark, is Approach Resources Incorporated. AREX is the symbol on it. Came in with 340,000 shares on February 24th. Did go above it momentarily on April 5th on 450,000 shares. So pretty good chance that you're going to get a retest in AREX and maybe even a breakout on this thing. But just keep an eye on it. One of the few ones out here actually busting out on higher volume. One of the ones that I find more interesting out here is Atlas Energy LP, ATLS. This is one that made a nice high on March 19th with 1.5 million shares. You had this huge breakout. What you really want is to find this thing back into that $28 gap up on huge volume. If you could get $28, it would be very interesting. But just testing it with 160,000 shares today as it goes back up into a longer gap out here. Any kind of risk reward would mean you'd need to get it back down around $28. But one to put on your long-term scale back here. But certainly come to that breakout area. You had 2 huge days, 2.3 million shares that day. That's one I'm going to be keeping on my radar. Another thing I kind of find interesting out here as we close the day out, S&P getting down just a little bit more, but pretty much where we opened this morning, off about 14.5 points. We did have a test out here for Best Buy today. It looks like it might close above it. I'll have to check here in just a minute. But we've got the December 19th low, $22.48, 8.9 million shares on that date. We've come down to that $22.48, gone below it. Look like we're going to close back above it on about half, well, a little more than half, 5.8 million shares right now. Might think we get 6.5 by the end of the day or something like that. But as long, I'm not saying to go out and buy it, but as long as you have a close above $22.48 today for that, and it looks like we're probably going to get that today, you probably have a fairly decent short-term signal that even these giant dogs like Best Buy, which normally is fairly cyclically weak as we come to the summertime, actually hitting these lows on fairly light volume. Let's see if we have another one here that was fairly interesting. I'm not much into playing dollar pharmaceuticals, but there is kind of an interesting one out here that I found, and that is Chelsea Therapeutics International. I don't know a lot about it, but these are some probably teachable moments out here. Looking at the February 21st low out here, $2.18, 12 million shares. We've got into it the last few days with very light volume, a little bit more today, but coming in with about 2.5 million shares. Pretty good indication that whatever happened to the stock, probably running out of gas to go much lower out here. But take a look at that. Anyway, give me a call at 877-927-6648. We'll be looking at a few more companies before the end of the day. Having a few things happening out here. A little moving and shaking. But give me a ring, 877-927-6648.
In the world of financial markets, there's a new player in town with an exciting new way to trade the markets. Nadex now offers binary options as well as bull spreads in a wide range of indices along with commodity and forex markets. With as little as $100, you can gain access to a new way to trade global financial markets while guaranteeing that your risk will always be capped. Nadex allows you to multiply your trading opportunities in ways never imagined before and access markets you once thought were out of reach. With short-term trading opportunities available, including binary options expiring each hour the market is open, Nadex allows you to take advantage of a variety of market conditions regardless of volatility or market direction. Now is the time to take advantage of this exciting new market. Don't let this trading opportunity pass you by. Open your account today by clicking on the Nadex banner on the front page of TFNN.com. Nadex, a better way to trade.
TFNN is proud to bring you the cutting edge of investment newsletters. Ken Shreve's Ultimate Growth Stocks. Ken is a top-down investor who lets price and volume in the major stock indices tell him when to be in the market and when to be out. By using his unique blend of fundamental and technical analysis, Ken will protect your hard-earned capital while realizing breakout gains. Go to TFNN.com today, click Investment Newsletters, and get Ken Shreve's Ultimate Growth Stocks free for 2 weeks.
Hi folks, turns out my best student became my best teacher. Steve Rhodes absolutely raised my standards, and I'll guarantee he'll raise yours.
Thanks, Tom. What I've learned is that if you want more, you must become more, and that transformation, folks, that occurs the moment you decide to become a master. Now, the quickest way to mastery is through immersion, and for 2 solid days in Denver, Boston, and Tampa, I'll create a new standard of wealth for those few trader investors who have a burning desire to succeed. At my Master Trader course, I'll teach you how to create the ultimate money machine. These are the best-kept secrets in the business. Roadblocks, folks. Dabblers give up when they first appear. Stressors last just a little bit longer, but masters expect roadblocks and achieve extraordinary results when they bust right through them. I have all the benefit of knowing the type of wealth creation that I can generate for you. You don't. That's why I'm making this unconditional money-back guarantee. If for any reason you're not satisfied with my Master Trader course, I'll refund every penny. That's right. I take all the risk, and you get all the benefit. Go to the homepage at TFNN.com and sign up today.
Put the power of the Chapman Wave methodology to work for you. No matter what market you trade, what time frame you trade in, or your trading style, the opening call, Basil Chapman's daily market newsletter, is bursting with the information and trades you need to become a more successful trader.
I've been using Basil Chapman's Chapman Wave methodology for several years now. His Chapman Wave can be used for any time period for not only equities, but futures, currencies, commodities. I've been also a subscriber of his opening call, which I find an invaluable tool to help me analyze the potential of the market each day. He gives you opportunities to go short and long. It includes recommendations on stocks. I strongly recommend people using the Chapman Wave, and very, very strongly support the use of his opening call.
To find out more about Basil Chapman and his Chapman Wave methodology, and to get your 2-week free trial of the opening call, a $64 value, visit TFNN.com today.
Here's what people are saying about Tiger TV.
Let's go to John in Tampa. Hey, John, what's going on?
Hi, Tom. How are you, sir?
I'm doing great. You having a good day out there?
A wonderful day. I love your Tiger TV. I watch it every day. I'm like a kid in a candy store.
Oh, man, I appreciate you out there watching it. How long have you been watching the Tiger TV?
I'm watching almost a month now, and it's wonderful.
It's pretty cool, isn't it?
Oh, yes, it's cool. You see the charts and everything. Thanks so much for the hard work.
Tiger TV, a great news service from TFNN.com. Catch Tom O'Brien, founder and CEO of TFNN, professional trader and educator. Also a special guest on CNBC, analyzing the commodity markets. Tom will bisect and dissect the markets. The Tom O'Brien Show, next on TFNN.
And as we get back, we're going to look at a few more stocks here today. One that caught my eye also is the Cooper Companies. It's up here making a test of the top. Symbol on it is COO. You had a nice high out here on September 20th, $84.20. Almost 1 million shares coming into that. Just about 10% off on that. Most of these companies have already rolled over, that it's kind of a late bloomer up here, and the energy's not off all that much. Makes me think it's probably going to pop just a little bit higher on that one, maybe over the next couple of days, and we'll see whether we can get any energy, and that can actually be an actual breakout. Another thing we saw is some gold stocks trying to beat out a bottom. One of them is Eldorado Gold. EGO is the symbol on it. But we're seeing four hops on the bottom here, starting with the December 19th low at $12.84. 10 million shares. Tried to get down into 1305 on January 25th. 6.8 million shares. Down on February 14th, $12.87. So you're still 3 cents above it, but 3.7 million shares, so almost 40% of it. You finally get in here today. You are going to get below that. You have to take a look and see how this thing closes today. But 2.6 million shares on Eldorado Gold. So we're having a few of these gold stocks kind of show up at these bottoms, or extended bottoms, extended consolidations, and coming up kind of light on volume. Another one that I saw today that was interesting was Pan American Silver Corporation. Symbol on it is PAAS. Nice low out here, $19.93 on December 29th. 1.2 million shares. Looks like we're going to come in with about 800,000 shares today. So maybe, 25% light, something like that. Going to be interesting how some of these actually play out. Gold was up a little bit earlier. It was up early, about 15, 16 bucks, came back to about +8, and then later in the afternoon back up to 15. I see Tom warming up in the bullpen right now, so I'm sure he'll take us through some of the gold stocks and how they're wearing up here, and whether this is a intermittent rest for some or a getting ready to jump the creek for some others. But pretty nice running. Another one that I wanted to show out here was in a nice consolidation pattern is Penn Virginia Corporation. This is what I really love when these things actually give a signal, and it hasn't, but certainly giving a nice signal that this is about as bad as it gets in Penn, Virginia. And that is just about the $4.35 level. First time we saw that was on October 4th with 1.2 million shares. $4.35 came into that on November 25th on basically 370,000. Tried again on the same volume on December 19th. Got down to $4.21. Tried it again on 1.2 million shares at $4.27 on January 19th. Once again on March 8th, you had $4.42, 1.2 million shares. And we've got today, which is actually getting down to 406. We'd want this thing to close back above previous levels like 420. But certainly seeing some extremely light volume on Penn Virginia Corporation. And just let me see here. Competition, headlines, profile. Penn Virginia, wondering if it's, what is that? Independent oil and gas company, primarily engages in the exploration, development of natural gas and oil. Anyway, this thing's down there. Kind of keep an eye on it. Symbol is PVA. We do see Tom in the bullpen ready to go. He'll be in here in just a few minutes wrapping up. Kind of a gloomy but light volume day in the markets. You all have a great day and a great evening.